Empire. Tracking the next great soccer star. It's happening.
Could we potentially try to see, there is a hot spot here, or someone is having an unusually high score, and potentially have a discussion about, maybe we should check this out, potentially.
That's Jorgina Busquets, Managing Director of Football Education with Manchester City, where tracking technology in footwear is helping them separate the elite players. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein. Guy Aharon, CEO of Playermaker, joins this episode as well. He was a previous guest, but the partnership with one of the global soccer powers had our interest piqued to see how everything is developing. Guests this week are Guy Aharon, who is the CEO of Playermaker, and Jorgina Busquets, who is Manchester City's Managing Director of Football Education, as they have launched what they're calling City Play, a wearable performance tracker that is reaching a big-time soccer outlet. Hi to both of you. How are you?
We're perfect, and thank you very much for having us.
All right, I'm going to put you both on a spot here. This is going to air after the World Cup ends, so give me a prediction. Who is the champion of the world before you know who we're heading into the semifinals today? Who's going to win the whole thing?
I've got to say Argentina, because it's got Julian Alvarez, a Man City player.
That's right. That's right. And neither of you are buying Morocco as the all-time upset in world history.
It will be amazing. It will make us all happy. But I also join Jorgina, and I have a feeling that Argentina would be this time. And of course, it also would be good for the team. So it will be a cheerful moment.
Yeah, we like great storylines in journalism, and Lionel Messi going out in his last World Cup as a champion would be amazing. Okay, let's get into the wearable technology space. Guy, you were recently a guest here, but this partnership was something we wanted to delve in with you as well. Tell us a little bit about Playermaker and what you're working with Man City.
So as a recap, Playermaker is a wearable technology for connected footwear. We are an operating system to track the motion of human beings. For decades, we know how to eat better. For decades, we know how to sleep better. And we believe that we are bringing the technology that can help the world move better. We have developed a technology that allows tracking from the footwear, from the source of the motion. And for years, we knew that we can track the human motion, and we are providing a quantified self, and we were looking for a way to do a great way of contextualizing the data. So technology is nice, but it needs to have the content and the know-how and the exercise drills along with it. And we were very fortunate to come across and to start and work and offer our services a few years ago to Manchester City, and even more fortunate to meet along with Jorgina and her vision. And we joined forces in the way that we are providing a technology and a path, but City Football Group, and maybe I'll let Jorgina to add here, are providing the methodology and the know-how, and of course the glory of the most amazing and most exciting club in the world. And we have found not just a very professional, knowledgeable, very well-known football club, but rather a great partner with great vision for technology. And I think that we're very proud that with the power of technology, we bring knowledge and experience to millions and millions of aspiring and inspired players around the world.
Okay, Jorgina, tell me a little bit about the partnership from your viewpoint.
Yeah, maybe, Bram, it would also make sense if I just do a very short introduction of what City Football Group is, because everyone knows Man City. I'm not so sure people know City Football Group, who is the parent company of Man City. And we actually have 11 clubs under that umbrella. Obviously, Man City is the most famous one, but we also have New York City Football Club in the MLS, Girona in Spanish La Liga, Troyes in French Ligue 1, amongst other clubs in India, China, Australia, Japan, Italy, etc. So we're actually a significant football organization with some results coming our way. I think Man City has won 4 of the past 5 Premier Leagues. So we have always felt that we knew a thing or two about football, that we have developed from having so many players, so many clubs at the elite level. But what if we could go further with that and share some of that knowledge with the wider community? You know, not everyone is a professional football player playing in the MLS or in the Premier League, right? So for us, it was about how can we use that knowledge to go further? And then, as Guy was saying, this combination of technology and knowledge is extremely powerful from our perspective. If you've got data, I tell you your blood pressure is, 70 over 110. That doesn't mean anything unless you have a reference point. And I guess this is where we come in. We are a reference point. We have trained thousands and thousands of kids from different ages, from beginners to professionals. And then we can have this context of saying, yes, this data means that. And this is what you should do as an individualized player to become better. So I guess this technology with the personalized recommendations and our own methodology and approach is what makes this special. And when we met the guys at Playermaker, Guy, Yuval, etc., we were impressed that we share that vision of using data, using knowledge, combining them to try to make better lives.
Guy, let me talk about the range and the spectrum of the data for a moment, as Jorgina was just talking about. The data filtering down to a young player, an aspiring player, just a club player who doesn't have professional aspirations, as opposed to an elite player like on one of the clubs that Jorgina's talking about. How do you kind of view that spectrum of that data that comes in for all of them, and then educating each of them on their play levels?
I was going to say that when we look at players, we focus at different stages of development, right? It's not the same if you are a 7-year-old that has never touched a football versus an elite player. However, there are certain things that are common, and we have a certain philosophy on how you play football, which is what we call beautiful football. This playing from the back, moving the ball, possession-based football, trying to attack. And I guess here is where dribbling is going to matter. Being able to play the ball with your 2 feet is going to matter. Being able to be strong, being able to be fast, being able to be agile. You know, there are certain physical and technical metrics that we could apply across the board that we know matter for football. And we could give lots of stats, but I guess the beauty is in simplification. What if I tell you that you can have one single page that has the 6 metrics that matter the most in this physical and technical dimension? And then you know what you need to focus on. Because if I tell you 1,000 things, you're probably not going to remember anything. Now, if we focus on these 5 or 6, then you have something to focus on. And then we have videos that go deeper on hydration, on the mental side, on resilience, on how should you approach game time, even from some of our elite academy players.
Guy, tell me a little bit about the data and how you kind of seen it and how it's grown as you have built Playermaker.
So in continuation, by using the data, as Jorgina mentioned, we kind of mapped the important skills that would make an inspired player probably a better player and help him be more active and more engaged. And starting from the 2-footed scores, breaking it actually to the 6 scores, and how much you control your non-dominant foot and your right dominant foot, number of touches and releases, kicking power of each one of the foot, and then providing scores for your dribbling skills that measured by the distance with the ball and top speed with the ball and the intense turns with the ball. Continuing with the first touch, again, I don't want to dive into too much details here, but then you can actually see in which part of the footwear you were releasing and controlling the ball, on the inside or the outside, and how many one touches you had and multiple touches, giving scores, providing scores for the agility and also for the speed and the power. And once we have this, as Jorgina mentioned, and you have some kind of a feedback mechanism and connecting it with the philosophy and the methodology with an in-app content exercises within the in-app that tells me, okay, so this is my agility score. Here are a set of exercises that I can do and I can improve, and I can see the feedback. And from game to game, feel I've improved, and also see that my work, my hard work comes into effort, not just by my feeling, but also the actual scores that helps me and is kind of driven by the philosophy of City Football Group.
Jorgina, tell me a little bit about the goal of this. Obviously, it's to make soccer players better, football players, soccer players better. Is this also kind of a partnership that in general will be part of almost worldwide scouting of potential elite players for the various clubs that fall under the umbrella of Manchester City?
I guess the answer is maybe. Our first driver for doing this has been to create something that is positive for society and that commercially it makes sense to us. And that's how it starts. Now, as we start to grow and as we continue to reach scale, if the users were to consent to sharing the data that at the moment we look on an anonymized data, could we potentially try to see, there is a hotspot here, or someone is having an unusually high scores, and potentially have a discussion about, maybe we should check this out, potentially. But I also don't want to say we've done this for scouting, because that was not the driver. Now, when you start to gather data, then there are some questions that can start to be asked, and we find this. We have certain physical outlets in some places of the world where we teach kids how to be better, and sometimes we find the gem. And then when we find the gem, then there are conversations about, hey, you should check someone out. So I guess it's a natural extension that it might happen if we were to reach a certain scale and the users were interested.
This episode is brought to you by Chalk and Dog, which brings together the vast experience and expertise of two of the brightest agencies in media, sports, wagering, and gaming. With deep roots in the UK and the US, the agency offers expert guidance in everything from market entry to market expansion for startups as well as established global brands, powered by best-in-class communication and creative experts. Chalk and Dog has vast international experience and delivers results-oriented, tailor-made solutions for B2B and B2C organizations. Guy, let me talk about the technology for a moment. So we've talked to a lot of people, including yourself, that are in wearable technology. Yours is interesting in where it's located. We're talking about soccer players here. They're going to kick a ball. How have you kind of protected the technology so that the data doesn't get, for lack of a better way of putting it, messed up by the amount of force that is going on with people kicking balls and running? So
the core and the power of Playermaker is the usage of a long collected and developed algorithm that is embedded within a very small and tiny form factor sensor. So no installation, no infrastructure. We were looking from day one, and we understood in order to make an impact in our world, we need to create something that professionals can really use it, not just say to endorse it, but really use it and really believe in it. But then again, it should be simple and friendly and easy to use for any athlete out there, not just for football, by the way. And this algorithm can perfectly, in a very high accurate level, track the motion and the gait and break down how you move, how you step, see the asymmetry of the right foot and the left foot, and provide you with feedback that will eventually help you to play healthier and better. And then again, also relate to the player-ball interaction. And this is the power of the big data. We collect about billion samples every quarter, which helps us to keep on making sure that we are always very accurate, very simple, and friendly to use. I think this is one of the key factors here.
What Guy is saying is actually super important, Bram, because we actually spoke with some of our players and said, if you were to put a wearable, would you do this? Would you do that? And we were talking, shin pads, but everyone is very particular about where the shin pads are, and some of them have used the same one in forever. We've seen other wearables that go inside the boot, but then they affect how you put the feet. Even the GPS vests. There are some coaches that say, I don't want my players to wear them because they are distracted by them. So actually, the Playermaker team and where they've located it is a really special place that just works.
Jorgina, as you've kind of looked at the data and you guys have seen this come in, what can you tell us about modern soccer players? What are you learning about them?
Here, I would say that they will probably need to wait a bit longer to have a greater period of data. We effectively launched a month ago, and our data team would say, we need longer to start getting conclusions. I mean, to be fair, we've done some studies and we've done some models internally about what differentiates a certain player versus another, what does it take to win, and it requires sometimes years of data and then seeing what the final outcomes are to be able to trace back and build some of the knowledge. And we've implemented here some of the things that we already knew from years of us studying the game and seeing how, I don't know, the likes of Phil Foden, who started when they were 8 with our academy, have gone to make it our first team. We still have the data of how much he sprinted when he was 10, let's say. So more to come on that, Bram.
Okay. Guy, let me ask you then, since this is newish partnership with Manchester City, but you've been doing this a while. What have you learned about modern soccer players through the time that you've built Playermaker?
So I think you can also see this now with the World Cup. The game became faster, and just being strong or speed, have the right speed is sometimes not enough. You need to be very, very efficient on your skills, on your technical capabilities. And I think that the modern players are keen to improve every inch of their movement. And they're keen for information. They're keen for a feedback mechanism. They want to compare. They're very much competitive driven. And I think that their thirst for ongoing improvement and their thirst of knowing how they can improve and squeeze every break of a percent is incredible. And it makes them much more sophisticated, much more advanced, and helps them to improve on the technical skills, athletic skills. And you can see the result that, they're relatively young or new nationalities or new teams with this in the World Cup that brings amazing results. And I think that this is the kind of results. And, somewhere in the US, there's the 16 young player, with men or women, that would play for the next World Cup. And I think that they will be even more sophisticated, even more advanced on their technical skills and their dreams. And I think that we're very fortunate to work with Jorgina and CFG and to be fortunate with those dreamers' journey to be on the next World Cup. So,
as an American soccer fan, selfishly, I hope you're right. So we'll see in 2026. Guy Aharon is the CEO of Playermaker. Jorgina Busquets is the managing director of football education with Man City. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
On the next Future Sport podcast, getting the right betting opportunity at the right time is a goal of mobile providers.
You can be really relevant in your message because you've got a high degree of confidence that you're talking to a customer about something that's relevant to them. But also, when you look at the content, being able to provide that customer with content which plays back what they're actually experiencing, what they're seeing themselves, references it. It shows that you know them. It shows that all that data that you have on them, you're actually able to bring to bear.
That's Ian Thibault, Chief Product Officer at Future Anthem, where AI is fueling understanding the modern sports better. That will do it for this episode. As always, the future is now. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein.